Hi there, this is Miss Caitlin from Fibo Kids Art Academy, and I'm here to talk to you about the Around the World series, where we visit the 7 continents of the world. Right now, we are visiting the continent of Australia and checking out the region of Oceania. Now, in these projects, we will usually go and look at a country, we'll learn about its flag, map, we'll learn about different cultures, landmarks, and wildlife that reside within these countries. Today, we're going to go visit the country of Australia, specifically the island and state of Tasmania, and we're going to go check out the Tasmanian devils that are from this island. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my desk and we can start talking about what we're going to make today. Now, this is just a little sample, a little taste of what our Around the World projects might usually be like. So I hope you enjoy just this very quick project. I'll show you how to draw this. I'll talk a little bit about, coloring it in, but it'll be a little quick. So for this project, to create a Tasmanian devil, we are going to need a piece of watercolor paper because we're going to be using watercolor, of course, to fill this little guy in. You're also going to need a pencil and eraser and maybe a permanent marker like a Sharpie just to outline everything on our little animal here and to fill maybe in some tiny details. So let's go ahead and get ready to do that. I'm going to set my watercolors off to the side. Go ahead and take out a pencil and eraser, and you can take out your piece of watercolor paper. I'm going to be using this one today, and you're going to see me draw with a Sharpie just so that you can see what I'm doing, but I do want you to use a pencil to draw, so that way you can erase as you need. I'm going to keep our little Tasmanian devil example over here so you can kind of see what we're going for today. Alrighty. So, for the head of the Tasmanian devil, these guys are related to kangaroos and koalas, but they really are more cat-like in nature. They're carnivorous, so they will eat meat. Now for the head, they kind of have this really interesting head shape. The best way I can describe it is that it's kind of flat on the top, they have these little fluffy cheeks, and then it rounds out towards the bottom. So on your paper, you're going to want to make this head very big because he's our main subject today. You're going to draw first a curved line, but we want to make it a little bit more on the flat side. So you can see it's curved, but it's not like super duper curved like a rainbow. Then you're going to draw 2 really big curved lines down. This is going to be for the cheeks, the sides of the head. Now you can close off that shape on the bottom if you'd like. You can also leave it the way it is. And now we're going to go ahead and draw the ears. Now Tasmanian devils actually have pretty big ears. And what's kind of cool about them is that when they're like fighting or when they're just kind of like, a little bit wound up, their ears actually turn this really bright shade of pink or red. It's kind of adorable, even though they're being a little bit ferocious. So let's go ahead and draw these in. This is a super easy shape. You're just going to draw a really big curved line on both sides of the head. To draw part of the ear that's kind of, folding up there, you're going to draw just another curved line up, another curved line up. Now this guy looks a little bit different from the Tasmanian devil from Looney Tunes, of course. That one is a very cartoon stylized version of a Tasmanian devil. This little guy is a little bit closer to what you would see in real life from Tasmania. Now for the eyes, they actually have really cute eyes. You're just going to draw 2 circles right about here on the head. Now what's really fascinating and what makes these creatures so famous is the sound that they make. They make this really awful sound, this screeching when they're feeding, like when they're eating, or kind of just like, when maybe another Tasmanian devil just gets a little too close in their space. People have described the sound that they make as unearthly, horrible, awful. If you look up Tasmanian devil videos online, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. Of course, have your parents help you out with that search. You can see I've added a little highlight. You can also add in the pupil. All right, so now we have the eyes all done. Now we're going to go ahead and work on the nose. Now they actually have quite big noses. So for the nose, we're going to draw almost like a flat part on the top and the U shape on the bottom. Think of it kind of like how we did the head. So you're going to draw a curved line on top, a pretty big U shape on the bottom. And then you're going to draw 2 curved lines facing each other just to show the nostrils and where they would be. Okay, now we're going to draw the mouth. You're going to draw a line down and then 2 wide U shapes out. Now you can actually see Tasmanian devils' little teeth when they're just kind of, walking around doing their thing. That's really adorable. So you're gonna draw just one little tooth, one little tooth. And their teeth are sharp because remember, they're carnivores. They'll eat like meat. Now, they're more like scavengers. So when an animal has maybe already died in like the forest, or maybe there are scraps laying around, that's what they're gonna go and feed on. And what's kind of funny is that these are solitary creatures. Tasmanian devils will spend a lot of their time alone, but when there's food, that's when they start making their awful screeching noise, and that's where other Tasmanian devils get alerted, like, hey, there's food around, I should go where that sound is coming from. Now we're gonna go ahead and draw the body. We're gonna be very simple about this today. We're just gonna draw 2 big curved lines down. And then they have this white stripe of a pattern across their chest. It's almost like a really wavy W. So you're gonna draw a really wavy W across their chest. And there we have it, our little Tasmanian devil. He's all done. Now go ahead and outline this all with a Sharpie or a permanent marker. You can fill in the pupils with that same permanent marker. And I'll just show you really quickly some of the ways you can color this guy in. Now, if you want to be extra careful, you can see we've added a little highlight on the nose. You can add that in now with your permanent marker, or you can always just add it in later with like the watercolors. So I'll get out my watercolor today. I'm gonna go through these coloring steps very quickly, so you can pause the video whenever you need, but this is just to kind of give you a quick rundown on how this works. So I'm gonna focus a lot on the Tasmanian devil. You can choose a different background if you like. Remember, these guys spend a lot of time in like forests, scavenging around, so think of something like that, like maybe they're hiding around in bushes somewhere. I'm going to use a medium-sized brush, and Tasmanian devils are actually black in color. So we want to use black paint for their entire body, except for maybe around the ears and around their mouth. You're going to see a little bit more of a brown color. Now when you go to use your black watercolor, depending on the brand, it might be a little bit more opaque or a little bit more translucent. That just means the paint might either be a little bit more, it might be darker, might be very solid, or it might be a little bit more see-through. So just be careful as you pick up your black paint and make sure you're spreading everything out pretty evenly. Now because these little creatures are scavengers and they kind of pick up the scraps of other animals, they're kind of like a little vacuum cleaner. And again, they're about the size of a small cat, and they are kind of cat-like in just like their mannerisms, at least in some ways. So I don't know, I think that's just kind of cute and kind of endearing about these creatures. They're tiny little ferocious vacuum cleaners. All right, so you can see as I'm kind of getting towards the eyes, I'm being very careful. I'm trying to go around the shapes. Even though the eyes are gonna get colored in with black paint anyway, I still wanna be mindful of the spaces that I'm coloring in. Same for the nose. It's also gonna end up just being black later, but I wanna be mindful of that area. All right. Now I'm just showing you flat colors today. If you wanna be more advanced and add in shading, make it look a little bit more realistic, please go for it. I always encourage you to stretch your knowledge, demonstrate what you know, and have some fun filling things in. Now, as I get kind of close to the mouth area, like I said, that kind of turns into a lighter color. I'll start to pick up brown, and I will start putting that down along the mouth areas here. I kind of want it to be a little bit more of like an oval or like a circular shape for the color, so just being really careful and kind of moving back and forth with my brush. I'm not pressing hard at all, and just carefully filling in this space here, almost like blending the watercolor a little bit. Now, this is super important. If you're painting and you find that your paper is starting to have little sprinkles or little like buildup of like little white stuff, that means that your paper is tearing. This means either 1, you need to use less water, 2, let that space dry before we continue working on it, or 3, if you notice there is a puddle forming of water in this area or anywhere on your paper when you're doing watercolor, You can just let that area dry, or you can even take like a paper towel and just gently tap off the extra. Okay, so got the face all taken care of. Let's go ahead and fill in the rest of the black for the body. Now again, this is going to be super easy. You're just filling in an entire space except for that white stripe with black. When you're trying to outline a space with your brush, I recommend that you have your brush maybe perpendicular to the paper, so you're standing it straight up and down. To try and use the very top of the brush to get a really clean outline. If you're worried about getting a clean outline, that's all right. Maybe you can try switching to a smaller brush to feel a little bit more confident. But the more times you do it, the more practice you get in, the better you will be. So just try your best to try outlining as carefully as possible. And if you outline your space first, you don't have to worry about trying to make that border all neat as you're coloring. It's kind of like making it easier for your future self as you're working on your artwork. Okay, so now I have this last section here. Again, just be mindful of your space and what you're filling in. And keep on working. Okay, now Tasmanian devils are endemic to Australia. That means you can only find them in this specific place in the world, which is really quite special. Australia is home to a lot of endemic species, and it's really easy for there to be specifically endemic species to the continent and country of Australia because it's very isolated from, like the big continents. It's surrounded by ocean. All right, there he is, all filled in. At this point, you can check and see if other parts of your picture are dry. If they're not, I would wait to let things dry off before you start filling in your eyes, nose, and ears. For me, I'm going to go ahead and show you filling in the nose and filling in the eyes. So I'm being very careful as I work around the nose, filling that in. For the eyes, I will definitely have to switch to a smaller brush. Again, if that is kind of a small area for you and you're worried about filling it in, what you can do is maybe wait for your whole picture to dry, and you can even just fill that in with like some color pencil, and then we'll still look good. So I'm using a little bit more water with my black paint just so that I can have the eyes stand out a little bit more in my picture. And then I'll add just a tiny bit of black paint to the little corners on the ears. And if you want to be a little fancy about this, you can do a wet into wet in that corner of the ear where you have red on one side and black on the other. But I'm just going to be very simple today, and I will just use the red paint and fill in the ears. Now, their ears would not be this red if they were a happy camper, but it's fun to try out the color. Now, if you want to make this lighter, you could take like a paper towel and gently tap off some of the color. You can see if you add more water, it makes the color lighter. Again, our Tasmanian devil in our picture looks like a happy camper, but apparently its ears are telling us, I don't know, maybe he's a little stressed out. And by the way, Tasmanian devils, when they get stressed, they are a little stinky. When they get stressed, they release this really strong, powerful odor. So it's best maybe not to be around them when they're kind of stressed out about something. All right, there we go. So if you want to add in further texture, again, if you want to be fancy, do wet into wet, please feel free to do so. For the background, you can kind of decide what you want to do for yourself. I've added in some like a little tall grass. If you want to add in shading along the Tasmanian devil's little patch down here, you can do that as well. So I hope you have some fun learning about the Tasmanian devil for this quick little sample project today. If you want more detailed around the world classes where we go into the country's map, flag, go through all the drawing steps together and all the coloring steps together, you can check out our website at fibokidsartacademy.com. I hope to see you there, but I'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now.